Welcome to Life After Everything. I'm going to begin this with a disclaimer. This is an 18 plus podcast due to the material being discussed, and it has the potential to trigger anyone in the areas of abuse, addiction, death, murder, cartel, mob, LGBTQ, or religious sensitivities. So if you fall into one of those categories, this may not be the podcast for you, but be sure that we care about you and we want you to be able to enjoy this as much as you can. So, you can listen and turn us off if you need to, or you can avoid us altogether. That's your choice. But I'm going to introduce myself now. My name is Tam Gentry. I am a Gen X mom of a teen with ADHD whose navigation of my husband's gender transition left me deconstructing my faith and rising from the ashes of my life. This podcast is where I'm going to unpack identity, relationships, healing, and what it actually looks like to rebuild your life when the script you were given no longer fits. And my friend here can introduce herself now.
Hi, my name is Tiffany Hannah. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope that you guys get what we intend from this. It's about our healing journey and not about all the traumatic things that we've been through. My name is Tiffany Hannah. I have two children. I have a 17-year-old that has Down syndrome, and then I also have a 26-year-old. Um, I'm going to be unpacking everything from, my first love, who was in the cartel, to my children's father, who was in a predominant mob family, to prison addiction, um, to finding my spouse, from a drug overdose, and mainly about the healing from all of that and all the things that come along with the baggage that you get from living the life that I've lived. So we are glad that you're here.
Yes, we are.
We're super excited about this and we're excited for you to be on this journey with us. So, Tam, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're at?
Okay. So my world is a little bit complicated at the
To say the
moment,
least.
especially. um, but to kind of give a little bit of background, I got married in 2005 to a man who turned heads when he walked in the room. Not so much because he was, the best looking man in the room necessarily, although he was a good looking man. Um, but because his energy kind of preceded him and he'd walk into a room and people would be like, "Hey, who's that?" The way he carried himself. Um he came across as special, and he was. He was special in a lot of ways. But before we got married, when we first met, he confided in me that he had some desire to wear women's clothing, wear makeup, those types of things. And so I knew going into the marriage that those things existed, but I hadn't actually seen them in action, which is a very different uh, circumstance when you actually see it. And so I spent the first year of our marriage experiencing things that kind of felt like someone was taking a sledgehammer to my heart over and over. And I learned what it was like to see someone that you had built up in your mind to be something, not be that. And I cried out to God
So,
over and over again. Yeah, go ahead.
I wanted to ask you, like when you said, like these were things you kind of knew. Can you kind of talk about like your first experience, like your first like aha moment when you were like, this is,
Yeah,
not just a conversation. This is really like a thing. What does that
yeah.
look like for you?
So the very first experience that I had after we got married was I had gotten a nightgown given to me at my bridal shower from some people that I worked with. We lived in Atlanta when we got married, and then anyway, I I had gotten this nightgown and I went to put it on. I hadn't even had a chance to wear it, and I went to put it on and it was ripped. And it wasn't, special in that it was like this most sexy nightgown, or it was, something expensive that I had spent money on or anything like that. Obviously, it was a gift, and it was a sweet gift. Um, but it was because it was a gift and because I hadn't had a chance to wear it yet, it was hugely impactful when I found it ripped, and I cried.
So do
And
you
I
did you
sobbed.
did you did you walk in on him? Is it something like he came to you and was like, "Hey, I tried this on and this happened," and what was your
No.
reaction to it?
No, no, no. I did not actually ever see him wearing it, and I didn't walk in on him. I found it in my closet when I went to try it on. And so, I think I may have seen him try it on after that first impact. Um, and it didn't last long. It ended up getting thrown away because it wasn't repairable. But you don't really understand. You can have the concept of something, but when you see it in action, it has a very different impact than the way that it feels inside your mind. When you see it, it changes your perception of it. And I think that we can experience that in lots of ways in life, but in this particular way, the very first time I saw him wearing makeup, I all but imploded. I cried out to God, and I did that over and over and over and over again. And every time I did, God would give me peace. And I knew it was my path. I knew this was the person that God had put in my path, that I was supposed to marry him. I knew that I knew that I knew that. But I did
Right.
not understand why I was in this circumstance, why I was having to deal with this situation, why God would put me in a place of pain that was repeated pain over and over and over. And we both grew up in the charismatic slash Pentecostal world. And so, we grew up believing this would be on the demonic side or mental illness or, something like that, which in the Christian community is kind of a widespread thought. It's kind of, at
Yeah,
least in
for
the
sure.
communities we were part of, it was very much that. And it wasn't
So
until it wasn't until 2023, January of 2023, that we learned differently. And that's when transition began.
so let me ask you a question. So because I hear you saying like that you cried out to God and that God gave you peace. So two things. So I guess it's a double question. So the first question is, when did it, like, what was the timeline of it? Was it like every now and then he would put on something or want some makeup, or he would try your makeup? And in those moments, were you, because you were raised in such like a Christian household to believe that these things were wrong, did you have spiritual moments during those times that made you draw back, or made you feel like, okay, maybe there's something wrong with this? Or were you like, okay, this is sexy, wear my lingerie, let's go get you some lashes. Like, what did that look like?
I I struggled. I really did. As far as frequency goes, it didn't become like daily until transition. Before then, and especially early in, it was very sporadic. It was, every week or two, every month, something like that. It was sometimes I didn't even know that he had done it. Like he would have put it on and spent some time with it and then taken it off before I ever saw him. And I wouldn't even know he had put makeup on, except there was smudging under his eyes or, something like that where he hadn't cleaned it up well. But every time it felt like it was ripping a piece of my heart out, because I really truly did not understand. And I don't think that anybody can really understand this unless they've lived it. Truly, it's not
So
easy.
how do you, just because I'm hearing everything that you say and I have all these thoughts going through my mind, and I'm sure people that are listening are wondering the same things. Like,
I'm
how do
sure.
you, because I know you have a daughter that you have an adopted daughter, but she's
Yeah.
yours, but you have a daughter that you've
Yes.
adopted together.
Yeah,
How
we've had her since the moment she was born,
Okay,
basically.
so she's yours.
Yeah.
How do you go from family dinners and you're the daddy, I'm the mommy, to seeing your partner with makeup and then being able to still take them seriously as a man in your life? Like, what does that look like?
It's not easy. It's not easy. Um, I had enough time between events sometimes
Okay,
for my internal state to kind of normalize.
right.
And it happened rather frequently that my internal state would kind of normalize. I'd let my guard down, so to speak, and then it happened again. And so that's why it kept feeling like I was getting pieces of my heart ripped out because it was um it was unpredictable, and it was
Right.
predictably unpredictable, but it wasn't so frequent that I stayed guarded to it all the time. And so when it happened, when I'd walk in and I'd see him in makeup, or he would come out in makeup or heels or a dress or whatever,
Yeah.
um, I would be, or I'd find him wearing, find out he was wearing my panties, or anything. And that happened. Bras and panties were fair game. So
Oh my God. And listen, so let's just go there for a minute since you went there. Let's
okay.
just take it all the
Okay.
way there.
Here we go down the rabbit hole.
There we go. So I mean, I'm just being real. Like I've had two serious girlfriends in my life, but I have to tell
Sure.
you, like my bras and panties were not fair game in that relationship.
Mine didn't intend for mine to be either.
And and
They
since
just kind of
we
ended up there.
and since we've already went there, here's the $1,000,000 question. Like, what was your sex life like? Like, did you actively have a sex life? Was it sporadic? Was it because I know you as a person, like spiritually, like intimately, like we know each other, but I mean,
Absolutely.
not like that, not that,
Not like that. Not like that.
but
Not sexually.
like I
But
know
yeah, we're
you,
certainly friends. You know me. We've
and
had enough
you're
conversations.
100% a woman, and
Absolutely.
that is something that you crave in a marriage and a relationship is that physical connection. What
Absolutely.
what
Yeah.
has
We all
that been
we
like?
all need to be w- I don't know if there's a woman that exists that doesn't want to feel cherished by the person that loves them.
Story of my life, hence the reason I probably dated someone from the cartel, and he's probably still a part of my life. Let's just say that. So yeah, no, for sure. But so what? So were you guys intimate with each other? Was it just
Yes,
was
we had a full marriage. I mean, we had, but I will say that our sex life was the weakest part of our marriage
right,
for many, 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 many. I mean, well, for the entirety of it, pretty much.
but when you
The
have
reality was that we figured out that he wasn't ever actually really physically attracted to me,
right,
and I knew that things were different with him than they were with any other man that I had ever been with, or boy
right.
for that matter. Even as a teenager, I was sexually active as a teenager, and this did not compare. And I had plenty of experience to draw from for the assessment. So,
So okay, so let me ask you this. So what does self-doubt look like for you in those moments, and how did you overcome that? Because it can't be easy to have someone
um,
check all the boxes for you, and then there be that one box that they don't
yeah.
check that's so important. So
Well, that's kind of a loaded question, actually, and I don't think I've actually discussed this with you before. But my in-laws didn't approve of the marriage. And they did afterwards, after they understood that I actually understood him, and they understood that we both felt like it was God that brought us together and all of that. But initially, their initial response was that I was too old because, I'm 10 and a half years older than he is. I'm
okay, Cougar.
57. Yeah, my
I
sister
see you,
called me a
girl. I
cougar.
see you. I love it.
I've never aspired to be a cougar, but I am 10 and a half years older than she is. And so I was 10 and a half years older than he was. I was too short, I'm only 5 feet tall. And so they wanted me to be at least, average height, which is I think 5'4" in America for a female. So they wanted me to be above average height. I was too fat because at that time I was probably, I think when we got married, I was 140 pounds or just over. Um, and so I wasn't like obese or anything like that, but I was a little bit overweight, my top end of my normal weight range because of how my bone structure and everything is probably around 130 or maybe just under 129. And so I was a little bit overweight, 10, maybe 15, not even 15 pounds overweight. And so I was slightly overweight, and then I couldn't have children because I had a hysterectomy when I was 25. And so I carried those reasons with a tremendous amount of hurt for a very long time. And so then when he was unable to, well, we'll just put it out there, when he was unable to maintain a erection,
Yeah.
or he was struggling to become aroused, or whatever that situation looked like in that moment, um, I blamed me.
Right, you blamed you. Do you
And
think that
he actually kind of blamed me too. He would say things like, I'm like really into skinny girls, like super skinny. Like, and he would blame it on my weight. And um, you know, all that really did, like this whole dynamic, all that really did was cause me to go deeper internally insecure,
right,
and caused me to gain weight, caused me to gain, um, you know, those moments of depression. And
'cause you're a
in
girl and
the
we generally eat our feelings. Um,
I was no exception to that. I promise.
so
Not
the
only that, but it was even worse because he had a sweet tooth. And he
right,
liked it when I made chocolate pound cake or cookies or donuts or whatever
right.
those sweet things were that he wanted. And what he would say to me were things like, "Well, you just need to use willpower." And I'm just like, "Fuck you."
Yeah,
It's
okay,
not
all
fair
the
to
way.
me.
Fuck you all the way.
I'm like, I'm struggling here and you're telling me just use your willpower. And I'm just like, huh. So anyway, it was kind of like this perfect storm of
Right,
events. So it was way more complex than just simply my husband didn't desire me. It was all of these other layers and components that affected me. And you have to understand something about me. When I met him, I was not insecure about my body, about what I looked like, about my capabilities. I had some deep rooted wounds out of childhood and previous relationships and stuff, but that was not one of them. I went to the gym every day. I worked out all the time. I had a reasonably I was reasonably fit. Like I could run up a mountain in North Carolina and did it with my sister, shortly before we started dating. So I was not like a slouch. I wasn't like this, you
right.
know,
Yeah, I get that.
complete
I get that. Do you
anyway.
think, 'cause you touched on a little bit about, his parents, do you think that they knew? I mean, is there a
No.
part of you ever that's been like, "Okay, they had to have known something?"
They knew something was off. His dad would say things like, I mean, they really didn't they didn't know about him being trans for sure. But his dad told me a story multiple times about how, or not really a story, but would make statements about how when he was little, he had a little friend who was female, and um, they would hang out together, and then it would be the two moms and the two, kids. And he started becoming too girly, and didn't like that. Like he had to fix that and he had to correct that. And so what ended up happening out of that scenario was that because his father was so bent on making sure that he was masculine, he taught him how to be a very, very, very masculine man and or to project that, so there was this mask that my ex put on, and that mask carried him for, well, until he was, what, 43 years old when he decided to transition. Um, so that mask was a very strong mask, and that's one of the things that happened with me is I saw that masculinity and I was attracted to that hypermasculinity. Um, and it wasn't real, it was a projection. And I didn't understand that. I had no concept of that. And so, because I haven't always understood myself and I haven't always been healthy enough to truly be transparent in ways that mattered. But I have always been about as transparent as I could be. I've kind of been an open book for the most part, in my life. And so I don't know about masks very well. I'm not very good at wearing masks and never have desired to be. So, um, you can read my emotions all over my face most of the time. It's a wonderful thing, and it's also an awful thing sometimes. But
Safe to say you don't have resting bitch face.
not intentionally, at least. No, not intentionally. I mean, I don't know if any of us really know what we look like when we're just kind of relaxed and in that space, but I don't think so. I don't think I really come across that way. Um, you know, Somebody else might say different. I don't know. You know.
Yeah, no, like, my
I don't
face
think of
has
myself as a
subtitles.
bitch either. So.
Literally, my face has subtitles. Like, you can look at me.
I love that. My face has subtitles. I might have to use that sometime. I might
Oh,
steal
you
that from
can.
you.
Yeah, that's you do that. My face has subtitles. It does. You know what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
If I'm thinking "fuck all the way off," my face says it, and then you can see the subtitles above my head, like "fuck all the way off."
Yep, yep, yep.
That's
I
me.
can imagine. So tell me about you. Let's go into your first love.
Um, I think we qualify our first love, in so many different ways, and for me, it's spiritual, it's emotional, it's very physical.
Yeah.
Very, very physical. I have never let me just say this, when I was really young, my mom used to take me to a Spanish restaurant every Friday, and I fell in love with the waiter. Like, I was gonna marry him, and I even named, like, my little dolls Consuela, all these things.
Oh my
Um
God. So great.
And so from there, like, I always had this fascination with, guys that had a little bit of color to their skin, like Colombians, Mexicans, like, I was on it.
Sure.
Um, when I was 15, there used to be a place in Atlanta called West Texas, and it was where, anybody that was Spanish would go, and it was like a nightclub, and it literally was like 2 football fields. And let's just say I ended up there, after stowing away in the back of a car that I shouldn't have been in. And yeah, stowed away in the back of a car I shouldn't have been in. And, when the person driving realized, I was in the back of the car along with my friend, they were like, we're not turning around. You're going to be stuck here all night. I'm not taking you back home. So we get there and they go in and we're in the car, like just hanging out. And I was like, you know what? I really need to pee. Like, I gotta go to the bathroom. I gotta pee. And I speak fluent Spanish now, of course, but I did not then.
Yeah.
I tried to go into the men's bathroom,
Oh, that's
and
hilarious.
this really good-looking guy was like, "Mommy, no, you can't go in there." And his English was as bad as my Spanish, and my Spanish was like none then. And he directed me. He actually turned me around and pointed to the girls' bathroom, and I went in there and used the bathroom. When I came out, he was waiting for me, and he had two other people with him. He walked me to the car and went in and got Coronas for me and my friend, and,
Oh, how sweet.
Yeah, let's just say I got white girl wasted. But
Had
he
you had
was
now, had you drank before, or was that your first time?
that was my first time getting drunk because
Oh, wow.
so my biological mom, at the time, I should have been at home, obviously, was going I mean, she was living through her addiction and all the things and kinda didn't care where I was at, what I was doing, and I was determined to not be anything like her, right? So I was like, "I'm never gonna
Yeah,
drink, I'm never gonna do drugs, I never
yeah.
wanna be like her." Um of course, my life turned out very different, but, he, was getting us Coronas, and I got so wasted, and I remember him holding my hair, and I was puking. I will never
Oh.
forget looking at how beautiful his shoes were. Like, I'm puking, he's holding my hair, and he had these 2 guys with him, and I thought they were his uncles. So,
But they
long
weren't.
story long story short, they were not his uncles, they were, his
Mhm.
bodyguards. Um, and it was probably a year and a half after that when I figured out exactly who or what I had gotten myself involved in. But let me just say this. I met this guy that his family was here from Colombia. He was Colombian, beautiful. Like when I tell you beautiful, beautiful, like beautiful
Mm.
skin, beautiful thick dark hair, and he knew all the things that were going on along with me at my house. So I would spend every weekend with him. He would come get me on Friday and then drop me off on Sunday. And sometimes he would spend the night with me. Like it was just kind of how things went at my house.
Yeah,
But every weekend he made sure, like, I mean, I had anything and everything I could possibly want. Like we ate the food
sounds
I
like
wanted to
you
eat. Like he adored me. And for the first time in my life, someone treated me like I was breakable, if that makes sense. Um, my, early childhood was I was molested from the time I was 3 till I was about 6, and I remember, the person that, was molesting me or doing bad things to me telling me one time, shortly before it stopped, "If anybody ever finds out, we are gonna get in trouble." What he was really saying was, "If somebody finds out, I'm gonna be in trouble." But in my six-year-old brain, what that did was it programmed me to believe to be silent about things that I should have never had my voice silented about, if that makes
yeah,
sense. Um,
absolutely.
uh
100%. I had not so dissimilar experiences.
and because they were a member of my family, I loved them past that, if that makes sense. Like, I loved them, I cared for
Sure.
them, I didn't want them to get in trouble.
Right.
So, moving forward, getting involved with someone who genuinely, we obviously had a sexual relationship, but I probably would have been a virgin forever because the things that happened to me. I can honestly say for the first year, all we were doing was hanging out. Like we were together
Mm.
every weekend, and he never approached me. I approached him actually twice. The first time it didn't work out. And because he was like, "No, mommy, you've been drinking and this is bad. And no, mommy,
Oh,
we can't do this. And this is not okay. I got to take you home to your mama." Like all these things. So, the second time was very
isn't
different.
that amazing that someone who could grow up in such a circumstance, like growing up in the cartel would
Oh
have
my
such
gosh.
values and
He,
such respect for you as a human, as a woman, well, as a
can,
girl.
can we just go there for a minute? He, was so devastated by what my life was like. And, at the time, I never knew that he had grown up with a legacy, basically, that he was expected to uphold, right? And
Mhm.
until okay, I'm just gonna put this out there. Until I found myself on a curb covered in blood and he had to literally carry me and put me in the shower. Um, if you've never been around anybody that's been shot or been around anything like that, you won't grasp it. I mean,
I
um,
can honestly say I have not, and I cannot grasp it. I can't.
I was 16, and I think, probably it was 2 weeks after I'd had sex with him the first time. So our bond was so strong,
Oh
like, it was so strong, and,
gosh.
I, let's just I witnessed something horrible and, in my 16-year-old brain, it didn't say run, it said go save this person,
Right.
and, I literally, like, held this person while they clung to life, and, after the ambulance came, the ambulance leaves, I was covered in blood. I have very long hair. Like, you've seen my hair is really long, it's always been
It
very long, and
is. You have beautiful hair.
thank you, and for the first time, it's red, so my hair's always been blonde. I literally had and I have naturally curly hair. I had
You
blood under
do?
my
I've never
fingernails.
seen your hair curly.
You haven't? It's 'cause
I haven't.
girl, I straightened it.
Girl.
You had to see it. Um,
Okay.
I had blood in my hair, in my f and he had just got my fingernails done. I had like, back then, the whole French tip thing was a big deal. I had blood
Oh,
under my
yeah.
fingernails. I
Oh
had blood in the
gosh.
crack of my ass. Like, and
Everywhere.
it was literally, I mean, this
You had
person was
blood like sand.
oh my, it was so bad. I mean, it literally, like, they're laying on top of me and they're bleeding, and I could feel the warmth from their blood, and it honestly,
Oh,
it feels like
sweetheart.
it felt like I had peed myself. Um, and when he
That's
got
gotta be
there,
horrible.
uh, it's crazy, I feel like, there are moments in your life, and there have been other moments that we'll get into where, um, things have happened. I've been in situations with this person where the spirit inside me said, "What you do in this moment will determine whether or not you walk out of this situation." And,
Wow.
I have, and that was
So
one of those
I
moments.
wanna pause you for one
Okay.
second and ask
Yeah.
you a question.
Okay.
So when this situation, um, where he was shot,
Yeah.
w w did you panic? I mean, were you panicking? I mean, you panicked enough to go run to him, obviously, but
Um, after the calm from the storm, after he got there and he picked me up and he, literally carries me upstairs, and I was in the shower. I will never forget. This is something that is so, like, vivid for me. I will never forget watching because they were these, like, really cheap apartments, and they were across from this place called West Texas, and it was off Cleveland Avenue in Atlanta. Um,
great
I
place.
will yeah, great place to raise your kids. Not. So they had basically, like, the whole complex, and I thought then that they were all, like, construction workers and that they all just, like, they literally had the whole complex. And so he takes me upstairs and puts me in the shower, and I'll never forget watching, like, the water be the color of blood, like, hitting the drain. Like, it was this
Wow.
old, like, cast iron, like, white painted, like, shower, and it was kinda rusty, and I will, for the rest of my life, till the day I die, I will remember what it looked like watching all that blood, like, wash down the drain. It was very surreal for me,
Wow.
and
And so
go ahead.
I'm sorry, just to clarify, was
Yeah.
it wasn't Jay that was shot? Jay took you to the shower, is that correct?
He took me to the shower.
Okay,
He arrived at about the time, because back then we didn't have cell phones like we have now.
right.
And the person that was with me called from a payphone to his quote unquote uncle's house and said, "Oh my God, you got to get here now. Somebody's been shot." Um,
Okay.
and he came and he got there about the time the ambulance was leaving. So, and I'm crying and I'm freaking out. And, he was related to this person, and he was more worried about me than he was the person that I had just watched get shot.
Wow.
And, he then decided to, oh, sorry, dog
That's
barking in the
okay,
background.
that's okay, it happens.
He then decided to, take me in his room and have the hard conversation with me, which was, um, I'm not a construction worker, and these people
Mhm.
don't work for me. These are my bodyguards. This is not my uncle's house. This is the person that's been, like, basically my nanny since I was a little kid. Um,
Oh, wow.
and then he just basically explained that he was a commodities broker. A
And were you
commodities broker.
shocked? I'm like, what how did you
Uh,
respond internally to all of this revelation?
so I think I was uh, he's still a part of my life. Let's say
Of
that.
course, yes, and you obviously
And
need to
so I will respect his privacy, and he and I have had the
absolutely.
conversation because about my book and all those things. Um, he comes from a very well-known family from Colombia, right? So when he told me his actual, like, his name, because they have assumed names. When he told me his name, it meant nothing to me. I mean, it meant
Right.
nothing to me for years. I'm like, okay, whatever, then whatever that
Well,
means. And
yeah, I mean, how many 16-year-olds would recognize that
no, and at
anyway?
the
I mean,
time, when it just thing all the things didn't click. All the things didn't click. And when he told me, because here's the thing, I saw money, like there was always plenty of money. Like I got my nails
mhm,
done, we ate at the best restaurants, he drove the nicest cars, like all of those
right.
things. I never saw the other side of it, right? He could say
Sure.
to me, listen, I went out and I shot somebody today. And in my brain, it wouldn't have clicked because I had this person who was trying to protect me from my life, who was buying me school clothes, who was giving me money every Sunday so that I could buy lunch and stuff at school during the week, who was doing all of these things for me. So for me, I fell so in love with this young boy that was here from Colombia, and he was without a lot of his family, and he had, people around him that I thought then were his uncles. But then even when I found out that they weren't his family, that made me even draw closer to him because I was like, he doesn't have anybody but me. Like nobody really sees him but me. And
God, girl, I gotta
so,
tell you,
yeah.
this is so mind-blowing for me to hear the nature and character of him because I was the teenage girl who was having boys trying to stick their hands in my pants in the stairwell at school between classes. And these were
Girl,
not guys I was dating.
let me tell you, the first time that I tried to have sex with him, okay, it really made me mad. Okay, I'd been drinking and I was at his apartment and he was in the bed and I undressed completely and I'm like, "Hey. Hey, so we're doing this." And he was like, "Mommy, what are you doing? You need to get a towel. What you need a towel here, mommy, here." And he literally took the cover off the top of the bed and covered me up with it. And he was like, "Mommy, are you okay? You need to sit down for a minute. This is not okay. What are you doing?" And I was like, so angry because I was
Oh
like,
my
"Oh my
gosh.
God, like, are you kidding me right now?" I was like, "What's wrong with you? Like, are you gay? Do you not like me?" Like, and then I got all in
What's
my
wrong
feelings.
with me, right?
Yeah,
Typical
I'm in my
female
feelings
response,
and I'm
isn't it?
crying and I felt
Yeah,
stupid and embarrassed and all those things.
of
And he was like,
course.
"No, no, I love you. You're perfect. This is not happening right now. Like, you've been drinking. I can't do this with you right now. Like, I love you too much for this." Like, and there have been
Oh.
so many times throughout. I mean, I've known him since I was 16. I'm 46. There have been
Mhm.
so many times in my life where he said, "I love you too much for this. Like, I love you too much for this."
Mhm.
Um, and he means it and he meant it and he's
Yeah,
always meant it. And for all the good and all the bad, as toxic as this is going to sound, because it's going to sound very toxic, but it's very real. He has always been my soft landing. And we'll go deeper into my history, my past, things I've been through. But there's never been a moment, even from that moment when I was 16, when the man that I was looking at, or back then the boy I was looking at, now, a grown man looking back at me, that I didn't honestly see like complete love, like in his eyes. Like he completely loved me. And for all the good, all the bad, my life was screwed up. And I didn't realize then that his life had been so much more screwed up than mine. Like I would give him like all my horror stories and he'd be like, "It's okay, mommy. Tomorrow," his greatest saying is, "If the sun shines tomorrow, you have another chance to be a different person." And he would
that's
always say,
amazing.
like, "The sun is gonna shine tomorrow, mommy. It's okay. You can be somebody different. You can be whoever you want. We can do whatever you want. It's gonna be okay. As long as the sun shines on your face," he believes, like, you have another chance. Like, there's always another
You know
chance.
what, that I think that's a fantastic attitude because we are continually evolving, changing, and as long as we wake up in the morning, we have an opportunity to make a different decision that day.
And, for me now as an adult and my very, like, sober mind and very realistic mind, here's what I'll say. There's never a day that the sun doesn't hit my face and the day before has sucked. Like, even when I found my husband dead or like things like that, when the sun hasn't hit my face and I haven't thought, okay, it's a new day. I'm still here. I can, have another chance. And for me to try to dissect his mind, considering like what he has done, does for a living, we all have jobs. We all
Right,
gotta have jobs here. We all gotta have jobs. Um,
right.
just I'm not we won't go there. I won't talk about what he we'll just say that, he's not made what I consider now the most morally respectable decisions. Although I understand his decisions, I won't say that they were morally or respectfully I can't respect them in a moral way, but if I said I didn't love him, I would be lying. Like, I've loved him since he taught me what love was, really, and I think that my past experiences, like the abuse and things that I went through early on, taught me, or it didn't teach me, it programmed me, should I say, to believe that you can love someone no matter what they do, right? You can still love them.
Right,
Like, they can be a
right,
monster, but
right.
you can still love them, and, um, it's very hard for me to call him a monster because I know him, like, I see him,
I
I've seen him.
I think that it's fair to say that we all have our our light and our darkness, and it balances like a yin and yang. And I think he's a fantastic example of that, because while he may have this dark side of the life that he was raised to be part of, he clearly has a lot of light to him as well,
Oh
where
my
he's
gosh,
able to love you in such a way that 30 years later, you still have love for him despite every experience, despite
yeah.
all of the things. There's still a place in your heart that he holds, and probably will for the rest of your life.
Oh, we will, and I think, I have to put some distance between him and I, because I know where this road ends, right? And I
Yeah.
have lost so much already and watched people that I love die that I'm not willing to play that card game with him, like, I'm not. Like, I
It's like playing Russian roulette.
yeah, like, and
Truly.
I'm not willing to do that, but here's what I will say. Um, Through everything, I remember one time, after I knew what was going on, and, we'll get into some details about some really bad things that have happened. I remember him coming to me and saying, "Oh my gosh, mommy, you'll never believe what we did this week. Oh my, I'm so excited." He was so excited. We had actually put water in like 5 schools, and he
Oh,
was telling me
wow.
that, we had the money that we had made had we won't talk about how that was made, but, the
Yeah,
money that we had
good
saved,
idea.
like, people that were living in houses that had dirt floors, like, it put floors in their house, and he was so proud of himself, and, he was like, "Oh, mommy, you're not gonna believe what we did. I'm so excited. These kids, they now have." And he has a rule, no women and no children, period. Like, that's a
Mm,
rule, no matter what he does, good, bad, or indifferent, no women, no children.
that's
He's
that was
very
certainly true
respectable,
for you, wasn't it? He certainly held true to that with you.
and he has for the past 30 years. And,
Yeah.
even after distancing myself from him the first time, you know, I there have been a couple of times where there was, more than a year that would lapse, so I wouldn't talk to him because I'd be like, "All right, gotta get my life together, gotta get my shit together, gotta live a different life." And he always gives me my space. Now let me say this, even though giving me my space, if I won't talk about what kind of car he's got, but if I see his car,
After
because there's
that.
not very many of them, I know it's
Yeah,
him. He will check
yeah,
in on me. He
yeah.
infiltrated a family wedding one time. Like, I actually went to prison for the cartel and I did some time. And while I was in prison, my aunt and uncle had custody of my oldest son. Um, and my aunt's dad was getting remarried, and the maid of honor state was Javier. And so there's this big, and they're from a very influential family. So it was a big wedding and all the things. And then Javier is like, is that Tiffany's son? Is that Jonathan?